cold day in hell.
How do you not die? You never die.
Everything has gone wrong for Tremors. We're in the bad timeline. Hey, remember when we did the Tremors 5 review 3 years ago? Back when I didn't edit so good and I had a bad haircut? You know, we were talking about like, if this did well, we could get a Tremors 6, maybe even a new TV series. Buy Tremors 5, support the series, and maybe they'll bring back another show. Maybe they'll bring the 6th one, you know, you never know. And it seemed like all of these things were coming into place. We got Tremors 6, there was a new TV series announced with Kevin Bacon. It's gonna be great. It's not happening. Wasn't picked up.
What the hell's going on? I mean, what the hell is going on?
And then we get Tremors 6. And I don't know, folks. It's kind of bleak.
It's a dick thing to say.
It's kind of a lesson in careful what you wish for. I don't know. I feel bad saying this, but it's kind of the worst one. It's kind of the worst. Like, I think it edged out 4 as being the worst Tremors movie. And 4, let me just clarify here, I think I said this before, but 4 is kind of a guilty pleasure movie. It's not great, but I can enjoy it. I don't really find a lot in 6 to enjoy, which is really unfortunate.
My balls are stainless steel!
My balls are stainless steel!
My balls are in the Guinness Book of Balls!
My balls are in the Guinness Book of Balls!
With that ringing endorsement, let's take a look at the nitty-gritty of Tremors 6. What happens in it? Well, the taxman done seized Burt Gummer's property. But lucky for him, he has a job offer doing what he does best, which is blowing up graboids. This time in the Canadian Arctic. Canadian Arctic. Look guys, I know that it would be incredibly difficult to film in the Canadian Arctic, but not really buying it.
Probably colder than a reindeer's ball bag up here.
Hell, I'm hotter than a 50 cal on full auto.
Majority of it is just in a field of dirt. There is a heat wave going on. Heat wave. And by heat wave, I mean it's South Africa again. I guess they must have had a deal to shoot there because it's with the same director and probably in the same area. But if you're gonna have a plot centered in this particular environment, this is sort of the polar opposite of where you want to be. And I found out doing some research that it does snow in South Africa, but not in Cape Town where they are. I mean, it might as well just be in perfection again for what it looks like. I mean, it is pretty bad. You know, they kind of throw away the premise that they present in the first scene, which is that there's graboids in the Arctic. They got a bunch of CGI snow and flurries and not looking too convincing, but at least more than they do in the rest of the movie.
Hell, I'm hotter than a 50 cal on full auto.
So why are there graboids in the Arctic? Well, they're thought out and they hint that they're possibly coming from some of the first graboids. They don't really do a good job of presenting how they adapt to this environment. And you can get a lot of mileage out of that. I was expecting to see like, there's graboids underwater, under the ice. And they're trying to cross the ice and it's cracking and then the graboid comes up from underneath. Or graboids you can't see because they blend in with the snow. They have to battle frostbite while trying to get away from these suckers. But instead you get pretty much the same. It's not even the kind of variation that we saw when it was set in South Africa. They had the snake tongues come out of the mouth, or they didn't need heat vision. In this, I don't really even know what the evolution was, which seems like a fundamental part of the Tremors series. Every time they evolve in some way or they get smarter, and you don't really see that here. There's just some very minor superficial differences about their appearance. I think there was one under the water, but we don't really come back to that. It's just in one scene. I would like to see some of them be furry. Why not? Like, do something really crazy with it. This is the 6th movie. What do you have to lose? It doesn't even really utilize the plot summary that you see on IMDb or even really on the back of the Blu-ray here, which is that there are weaponized graboids.
Your experiments run amok.
Bioengineering? Graboid gene splicing?
This shit just got real.
It's just a very minor plot element. There's a guy who's the antagonist who kind of looks like he's made of plastic, and Bert says, hey, you're gonna weaponize these graboids. And he's like, not me. And then it's never really brought up again until the very end for just a wah-wah joke.
Graboids don't make good pets, Mr. Cutts.
Reach on it, Bert.
I mean, I would have liked to see weaponized graboids, but it's not what we get in this movie. It kind of goes with my big problem with this movie in that it feels very small, kind of unimportant. And that's something that's obvious from the get-go. When you first see Bert, he's running Chang's store in perfection, and you don't see any of the other characters there. It's just him, the tax guy that comes in to bitch at him, and then Jamie Kennedy.
Did you miss me?
Yeah, like a boil on my ass.
It feels kind of pathetic, really. And then when you get to the majority of the movie, it's just at a research station. You don't even get to explore a lot of the Arctic environment because they don't have an Arctic environment. Even in the composite shots, it doesn't look convincingly like the environment that they present with cold day in hell. It's kind of a hot day in hell. They try to kind of make up for some of the things that didn't work out for them by tinting it blue slightly. But it doesn't make it seem colder, it just makes it really ugly. And that's excruciatingly obvious, for instance, when there's a phone call between Bert and one of the people that's in the snow, and you cut between these two warm and cold color tones, and the stuff that's supposed to be in perfection looks great, and then the stuff in the snow just looks like they didn't colorize it properly. Ooh, look how cold it is in the Arctic! There's supposed to be this, like, badass action scene, like one of their big showpieces for the movie. And the music that's playing sounds like a temp track. They have this awful cover of Mustang Sally. Balls.
Mustang Sally. Guess you better slow your Mustang down.
It makes it seem a little cheap, to be honest. One of the other big problems I have with this is that it has a real love for just referencing the first movie, and not in an organic way that it felt like in the 5th one. They would have callbacks, and they've done that through all of the movies, but in this one it just felt like they were just copying things.
Broke into the wrong goddamn hangar, didn't you, you bastard?
Jamie Kennedy's love interest just straight up does the scene with Rhonda, the wood planks, when she takes her pants off, but their twist here is that she doesn't want to take her pants off because she's not wearing underwear. Like, she would rather die than take off her pants.
Take them off now, goddammit!
No!
Why?
I'm not wearing any underwear!
Which sounds funnier than it comes off, because she just has, like, no personality. Like, half the women in this movie I could not tell apart. I could tell who the old lady on the plane was. She's sort of more interesting in theory than how it turned out. Which is sort of a watered-down version of what they did in the 5th one, with the pilot that has a rapport going on with Bert. Except it's barely there in this one. One of the characters is Val's daughter. Also named Val. Just one of those pointless references to the first movie. I mean, it does nothing for any of the characters. It's just sort of there to remind you of a better movie. Like, I don't care about this girl at all. All we know is that her dad was a main character in the first one. She liked shooting things. It's not really developed in any sort of interesting way, and I could see how this parallels with Bert and his son, but without actually having Val there, I mean, it doesn't really feel like it's anything. I mean, I didn't really get that Bert was even that close with Val, even in the first one. Once he left, it's not like they stayed in touch, so it just didn't really feel very meaningful.
Kind of lost track of your parents over the years.
It's okay. They're easy to lose track of.
Which brings me to the Jamie Kennedy passing the torch plot. It is everything that we were glad was not in the fifth movie. What if they had, like, at the end, like in Indiana Jones 4, where, like, it was Shia LaBeouf in the hat, but it's Bert's hat and Jamie Kennedy, and then, nope.
If you've got ass blasters, you have graboids.
Bullshit! Bullshit!
We actually joked about this happening, and then it did. He puts on Bert's hat. Like, I'm gonna take up his legacy. I'm gonna put on his Cubs hat. Because, by the way, he didn't switch teams, just switched hats.
Hey, you changed teams? No.
Just
hats!
Like, that's the part of the movie where we're like, no, checked out, not doing it. Can't do it. Get out of here. I feel kind of bad for how harsh we were on Jamie Kennedy in our review of the fifth movie, because at least compared to this one, there was some life to it. In that one, there was some interplay between him and Bert. I mean, that's kind of par for the course for all of the Tremors movies. There's always an annoying sidekick that kind of brings the comic relief there, and they're put into their place, like they're told that they're annoying. But in this one, he's doing the same shtick, but not getting any of the blowback. He's just there making the movie annoying.
Bert Gummer's got some big-ass shoes to fill. Size 12s. I've seen you in the locker room.
That's the thing about this movie, it just sort of sucked the fun out of it. It didn't feel like I was getting that sort of quirky adventure survivalist stuff that you get in the Tremors movies, especially with Bert's character. It just seemed like he was miserable and tired.
You think this is funny?
Bert Gummer is a character who just has this enthusiasm for killing these things. So while all these horrific things are going on, he is right in his element. He loves surviving and blowing things up and knowing what tools he needs to use, when to use them, and how to do it the most effective way possible. In this, he just sort of seems like he doesn't want to be there. Like it's sort of old hat to him at this point. And maybe if they'd played with that a little bit, it could have developed the character a little more. At first, I thought that they were doing this graboid PTSD thing with him, but it turns out it was part of this kind of confusing plot involving him being infected with graboid toxins of some sort. And that, if they had played it as a new development, like the graboids or the ass blasters or some other new thing, had developed toxins, like that would be a new thing to add to it, but it's not. They say that because he was swallowed by one in the third movie, a long time ago, all of a sudden there's like this delayed reaction toxin in his system.
Bullshit! Bullshit!
And so the rest of the movie's really about getting a graboid alive so that they can get antibodies from this sac inside of a graboid so that they can cure Bert. And they've killed him. I think the point when it really hit home for me, just how poorly this movie was going, was when you see Bert's ass and he falls over. Just sort of sad now. I mean, watching this movie was akin to being at a hospital and seeing a sad old man fall over ass up. I mean, you feel kind of bad and embarrassed for him. The whole thing is just anemic and lifeless. There's a part that should be exciting when they're inside the research station and the walls are rumbling and you feel there's an attack coming. There's this guy just sitting there nonchalantly drinking an energy drink. It's about how the audience feels about any of this. I think I laughed once during this movie, and it wasn't even really that funny of a joke.
Where's my munitions, my combat vest, my clothes, huh? To your left.
Hey, I just had to add this really quick. What was Bert even there for? Like they call him in, and he hangs around for a bit, and then they leave. Like, I don't even know what the plot of the movie was. They don't even know if they killed all of them. They just leave. 5, it felt like you saw something really different, something that took you into another place. And this just felt like it was even less than we've seen in any of the other movies. It felt like nothing. It could have been set anywhere. I love seeing Michael Gross again. He's a wonderful actor who always puts 110% into what he's doing. I just felt like the script and things that were outside of everyone's control really failed them here. To be honest, I wouldn't even really recommend seeing it. It didn't feel like a Tremors movie. It didn't really feel like anything. It didn't make me angry. It just didn't feel satisfactory in any way. So I wish I had a more positive thing to say. I'm gonna end it on this. I hope that the trailer for the new Tremors series that looks so awesome, I hope that being leaked piques some interest and they actually pick that up, because I think that looked great. I know that it ignores the sequels, but I think that they could do something really interesting with the premise. So I don't think Tremors is dead, but I think as far as this movie is concerned, shouldn't have really happened. So I'll see you around, guys.